Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Now, I know what you're thinking. Protocol sounds super technical, maybe even a little boring. But trust me, this is actually the key to one of the biggest shifts happening in AI right now. It's this quiet revolution that's about to unlock what our AI assistants can really do. But first, let's start with a frustration that I think we've all felt. You know, when you ask your AI assistant to do something that seems so simple, like, hey, can you check the current weather and then email it to my boss? And it just can't. It feels like this incredibly powerful brain is just trapped in a box, completely cut off from the real world. Well, as it turns out, there's a very good reason for that. The core of the issue is best explained with this analogy. Think of a large language model as a brilliant, super intelligent brain sitting in a jar. It's been fed a massive chunk of the internet, so it knows an unbelievable amount of stuff. But here's the catch. All that knowledge is completely trapped. So this brain, it has no arms or legs. It can't actually do anything like send an email. It also has no eyes or ears, which means its knowledge is basically frozen in time, right at the moment its training stopped. It has no idea what's happening right now. And maybe most importantly, it can't see your personal stuff, your calendar, your private files. So because it can't see the world or your data, when you ask it for something current, it basically has to guess. And that right there is where AI hallucinations come from. It's just trying its best to fill in the blanks. For years, developers tried to fix this with, let's call it, a messy workaround. They tried to give the brain some arms and legs by just plugging it directly into a bunch of outside tools. But this created its own special kind of nightmare. It's called the M by N integration problem. So imagine you've got a new AI model, we'll call it M, and you wanted to talk to Spotify, Google Calendar, and a weather app. Those are your three tools, or N. Well, you'd have to build three totally separate custom connectors. Then a new AI model comes out, and you got to do it all over again. It's like needing a dozen different proprietary chargers for all your electronics. Just a tangled, chaotic mess that doesn't scale at all. But what if there was a single universal plug for everything? You know, an elegant solution that just cuts right through that mess. And this is where things get really, really interesting. That solution is the Model Context Protocol. Think of it as an open source standard, basically a common language that creates one simple, reliable way for any AI model to connect with any external tool. It's a lot like how USB created one single standard to connect keyboards and mice to any computer. MCP is doing that exact same thing, but for AI. Seriously, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this phrase. MCP is the USB-C for AI. It's just the perfect way to think about it. It takes that tangled mess of custom wires and replaces it with one clean, universal port for absolutely everything. Okay, so how does this universal plug actually work? Well, the mechanics are surprisingly simple. It all follows a really clear logical process. It all works through a simple three-step handshake. First is discovery. The AI just asks a tool, like your email app, hey, what can you do? And the app replies with a menu of its abilities, things like send_email or search_inbox. Step 2 is action. Now that the AI knows what's possible, it sends a specific command, like, please use your send_email function with this text for my boss. And finally, execution. The email app just sends the email and reports back, yep, message sent successfully. It's really that straightforward. A great analogy is a hotel receptionist. The AI is you, the guest. Instead of you having to hunt down all the different phone numbers for housekeeping, room service, the concierge, you just make one call to the front desk. That's the MCP server. You make your request, and the receptionist routes it to exactly the right department or the right tool. It's simple, it's structured, and it's secure. So that's how it works. But the real story here, the really exciting part, is what this enables. This simple, standard connection is what finally transforms an AI from just a parrot into a true agent. And the difference is just night and day. Before MCP, you get that familiar, frustrating response, sorry, I cannot check the current weather or send an email. But after MCP, the AI becomes an active partner. It can say, okay, the weather is 65 degrees. I've already drafted an email to your boss with this info. Do you want me to send it? See, that's the shift from just passive knowledge to an active partner. And it goes way beyond simple tasks. You could ask your AI to plan a team offsite, and it could check everyone's calendars, find flights and hotels in budget, and draft a whole itinerary for you to approve. And this is why MCP is so important. It is the key piece of technology that turns an AI from a fancy parrot, one that just repeats and remixes data it was trained on, into a true agent that can actually interact with the world and get things done on your behalf. Now, you hear the word context thrown around all the time in AI, and honestly, it can get confusing because it means different things. So let's clear that up really quick. A context window is kind of like the AI's short-term memory. Think of it as the size of its desk. A technique like RAG is like you handing the AI a specific book to read for a single task. But MCP is totally different. MCP is like giving the AI a phone and a library card. It doesn't just have what's on its desk, it can go out and get brand new information all by itself. So when we circle all the way back to our original problem, that brain in a jar, we can now see the solution so clearly. MCP is the key that is finally and securely letting that brilliant brain out of its box. All right, let's put it all together. We started with this brilliant AI mind, completely trapped in a jar, unable to act. The first tries to free it just created a tangled mess of wires. But now, with a universal standard like MCP, the USB-C for AI, we have this really elegant solution. We are finally seeing AI evolve from a passive parrot into a truly active agent that can genuinely help us get things done. And this all leads to one last, really powerful thought. We're building a world where any AI can securely plug into and use any tool. That completely levels the playing field for innovation, and it opens the door to a future of truly capable, interconnected AI agents. So the big question really isn't if this is going to change things, but what comes next?